Where are the children of our heroes? Every day, our brave military personnel risk everything, and some pay the ultimate price. Yet, long after the battles end, a hidden crisis persists: the plight of the children of veterans and fallen heroes. In Nigeria, thousands of young lives are left to navigate grief, face disrupted education, and emotional turmoil. Studies have shown that children from veteran families are up to 42% more likely to experience behavioral challenges compared to their peers. As former Minister of Internal Affairs Ogbeni Raufo Aregbesola once said, "We must celebrate those who volunteer their lives for the protection of our peaceful living, and it is our collective duty to ensure that their children receive the care, education, and compassion they deserve." That statement is powerful and true. And so today we'll explore the struggles and urgent needs of these resilient young souls. Children of military veterans in Nigeria bear the brunt of economic hardship, educational disruption, and psychosocial trauma. Many are orphaned or depend on delayed pension payments, leading to eviction, school dropout, and emotional distress. A study has found that deployment strains such as home neglect and truncated schooling predispose children to deviant behavior. Despite recent sensitizations by the Nigerian Military Pensions Board and welfare initiatives by organizations like the NAOA, NOAA, and NAFOA, systemic gaps in timely benefit disbursement, mental health support, and educational access persist. Today, we'll explore real life cases, core challenges, and of course, prefer actionable, culturally attuned solutions to uplift the next generation of veterans' families. While exact data on the number of veterans' children is scarce, like every other data is in Nigeria, Nigeria hosts over 110 million children, almost half of whom live in poverty, a context that magnifies the vulnerability of military families. Military deployments in Nigeria, from internal security operations to international peacekeeping, often separate parents for months or years, leaving children to cope with loneliness, unmet needs, and disrupted schooling. Now, let's consider a few real world cases of veterans' children and families. The Bolajoko Joseph family. Now, Bolajoko Joseph is a widow of late Corporal Oladapo Joseph. These are real people. She completed all required steps to claim her husband's gratuity within a year of his death in 2012. But as of November 2021, 9 years later, she had yet to receive any benefit, forcing her to drive a hired tricycle and rely on church support to feed her two children and keep them in school. Isn't that sad? There was a qualitative study done by Peter, Tade, and Davis, and it reported that children of deployed officers suffer truncated educational pursuits, and in some cases, deviant behavior as families struggle to provide consistent schooling in the parents' absence. On many occasions, military orphans have been promised scholarships. However, Human Angle once reported that children like those of another real person, Emilia Oji and Josephine Musa, orphans of fallen soldiers, have had scholarship promises unfulfilled for years, resulting in school dropout and further marginalization for them. Let's consider the core challenges, that is, the economic hardship and unpaid benefits that affect children of veterans and late military personnel. Despite guidelines mandating timely payment of death benefits, bureaucratic loopholes and corrupt practices delay disbursements indefinitely, leaving widows unable to afford basic needs for their children. Research on the pension system has documented continuous reforms without proper enforcement, meaning many beneficiaries, that is widows and orphans, lack awareness or capacity to navigate the complicated claim processes. And so often it leads to them losing the benefits that accrue to them. Another challenge is the educational disruption and truncated schooling. Field interviews in Lagos cantonment revealed children plunged into crime or indecent work just to support themselves when their parents are absent or deceased, reflecting a broader trend of educational truncation among military families. This is very common in most barracks around Nigeria. One other challenge is psychosocial trauma. Beyond the economic struggle, children experience profound emotional distress. Studies from conflict areas show orphans and children separated from parents suffer anxiety, depression, and behavioral issues, including nightmares and withdrawal. And this is often the case with many orphans of military personnel. Let's also look at the stigma and lack of awareness. Victims like Joko have reported sexual exploitation by military officials, harrowing experiences that further stigmatize veteran families and deter them from seeking help because nobody listens to them in the long run. As I talk about these issues, I would also want to acknowledge some efforts that have been made to solve these problems. One is the Military Pensions Board sensitization. On January 16, 2025, the Nigerian Army's 8th Division headquarters held a one-day workshop for officers' wives, associations, legion, and widows, educating them on how to claim retired and deceased benefits. That was done in collaboration with women associations to enhance support for widows and orphans. There are also initiatives by organizations like the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, NAOA. They run daycare centers, schools, skill acquisition centers, and the Girl Child Education Program in barracks. This improves access to education and livelihoods for veterans' children. I must say, this is a laudable effort by the officers' wives. There have also been international supports like the Lightway Academy. In January 2024, Prince Harry and Meghan visited Lightway Academy in Lagos, supported by the Ackwell Foundation, meeting children of wounded service members in a display of international solidarity and mental health advocacy. Having said all that, what more can we do for the children of our heroes? The first thing I'll suggest is this: simplify and enforce pension reforms. Amend the Pension Reform Act to include clear timelines for benefits disbursements, simplify documentation requirements, and establish an online portal for tracking claims, thereby drawing on recommendations from ethos analysis of pension dilemmas that almost every veteran and veterans' family members grapple with. I would also suggest that we create a Veterans Children's Scholarship Trust, legislate a dedicated scholarship fund for children of fallen or disabled veterans, financed through a levy on defense budgets and private sector contributions, ensuring timely educational grants up to secondary or tertiary, so you don't have to keep waiting for never coming promises. I would also suggest that we expand community schools and tele-education by partnering with NGOs and telecom providers to deploy mobile schools and distance learning platforms specifically for barracks and remote postings. This will mitigate educational disruptions highlighted in studies that have been made in the past. We could also integrate child-focused psychosocial services, embed counselors and child psychologists within military health facilities and community centers, offer group therapy and mentorship programs. This will address emotional trauma documented among many military children and family members. It is also important that we strengthen community oversight and accountability. Form local oversight committees, including veteran representatives, non-governmental organizations, and civic groups to monitor benefits disbursement, report abuses, and facilitate transparent grievance mechanisms, echoing calls for anti-corruption in the pension process. To draw a curtain on this episode of the Other Side podcast, I would like to say that children of Nigerian military veterans stand at a precarious crossroads of poverty, interrupted education, and emotional fragility. Yet, with targeted policy reforms, dedicated scholarship schemes, and compassionate community engagement, we can ensure their parents' sacrifice paves the way for a brighter future rather than perpetuating a cycle of neglect. Let us not forget that our heroes' legacy lives on in their children's hearts and futures. Their challenges demand immediate and sustained action. It is time for the government, the military institution itself, communities, and every compassionate citizen to stand together to provide scholarships, mental health support, reintegration programs that will transform sacrifice into hope. Let me once again remind you of the words of the former minister, Ogbeni Arebeshola. He said, "We must celebrate those who protect our nation and honor that promise by ensuring our veterans' children are never left behind." Please share this episode and advocate for better policies. Let's build a future where every child can thrive, including children of military veterans in Nigeria. I am Annabelle Kenny. You have been on the Other Side podcast. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.